covering the political landscape along the I-4 corridor. Welcome to Political Connections.
Welcome back, everybody. Well, we are talking about leadership, and for the state very soon we'll be electing a lot of new folks to take office in 2018. Besides governor, one of the other cabinet positions will be the attorney general's position. Pam Bondi, of course, is term limited out, and that means there'll be new people running for that position. And joining me right now is Ryan Torrens, an AG candidate on the Democratic side. Ryan, good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me, Al.
Okay, here's always the first thing I always ask is say, okay, tell us who you are, because for most people that come on my show, people go, not sure who they are. Tell me.
Thank you. My name is Ryan Torrens. I am a consumer protection attorney here in Tampa. I am a fifth-generation Tampa native, and I represent homeowners who are facing foreclosures by banks and their homeowners associations. And we also sue banks and abusive debt collectors when they violate consumers' rights.
So I always ask everybody, why do you think you qualify then to be Attorney General? And I've asked that of Pam Bondi, who was a prosecutor at one time.
So the main reason that I believe I qualify to be Attorney General is because a big part of what the Attorney General does here in Florida is consumer protection work. And that's what I focus on in my practice, is representing working class people who have fallen on hard times, who are getting sued by their banks, who are having issues with credit reportings, who are having issues with their bank statements. And that consumer protection role is really what the Attorney General does. And so I would just be doing it on a statewide basis.
And yet when you talk about Attorney General, even when you ask people out on the street, well, what does the Attorney General do? Most people think of you as the state's top cop.
That's correct. And that's really kind of a misperception. So the Attorney General does have the Office of Statewide Prosecution, but a big bulk of it is the consumer protection work. So making sure that everyone in this state has to follow the same rules, including big corporations and banks, and protecting seniors from fraudulent schemes and financial scams and things like that. So really, you're the lawyer for the people of Florida and to protect our people. And that's what I've been doing in my own practice, and I want to do that for the people of this state.
Is there a little crossover, because we tend to think that the Ag Commissioner also has some of those kind of responsibilities as well?
Yes, there is some intersection there, and you know, I've gotten a lot of questions on that, but a lot of these consumer complaints can be handled by the Attorney General's office, and they even have an online complaint form.
Okay, this is what the paper said about you, that you said that you want to bring new energy to the Democratic Party. Is the Democratic Party out of energy?
You know, I get the sense from talking to voters all around this state that they are looking for something different. And that's what we offer. I am not a politician. I never have been a politician. I don't owe anyone any favors. I am young. I do have a lot of energy. And I think I am different in the sense that I'm not a typical politician. And what I'm picking up from talking to voters is that they desire that. They want an Attorney General who has a proven track record of fighting for people like them, who understands their problems, and who doesn't owe anyone any favors.
Some people will say that the cabinet has been lopsided for a long time ago, because we were talking before the program about Bob Butterworth, who was in office, I believe, 4 terms, worked with both Republicans and Democrats, and was well respected in that role.
That's right. You know, our message in this campaign has cross-party appeal. I am a Democrat, but our message is that, look, our people are getting the short end of the stick. They're paying for politicians' salaries, and these politicians are getting into office, and they're not looking out for them. I am a consumer lawyer by trade, and my message is the same message to Democrats as it is to independents and Republicans. It's that I have already been fighting for people like you. I understand your problems. I want to help you with your problems. And Republicans and independents are getting hurt by these problems just as much as Democrats.
Now, Pam Bondi isn't in the race, so I'm not trying to pick on her or her administration, but are there things that Pam Bondi did in her administration that you say, if I get elected, I would never do that, or I would do that? Either one.
One of the issues that I think we could be much more aggressive on is the area of consumer protection. And so I run in this election as my own man, as my own person, and with my own ideas. And I'm not here to pick on Attorney General Bondi. But in the area of consumer protection, in terms of making sure banks and abusive debt collectors and big companies have to follow the same rules as everyone else, the Attorney General has the ability to bring a lawsuit on behalf of all of the people of this state against companies like that. I believe that we can be much more aggressive about that. And it's just the general premise that if these companies are going to come and work with Floridians, they need to follow our rules and act like Florida companies. So I think we can be more aggressive about that.
Now, one of the big issues that has been that the AGs have attacked for a number of years is the pill mills, and now we have this heroin epidemic. And I think again, if you ask the people on the street, they know there's a consumer protection side of things, but it's like the heroin epidemic gets all of the attention, and also human trafficking. I mean, it's just horrendous.
It is, and I can tell you, Al, that the opioid crisis in this state is going to be one of our top priorities. Not just in this campaign, but if I were fortunate to serve in this position as Attorney General. This is a serious problem in our state and around the country. It is destroying our families. People are dying on a daily basis. And this problem is not just a law enforcement problem, but it's an issue of addiction. These people are suffering with addiction and they need treatment. That's the only way that we are going to solve the underlying problem here, which is addiction to drugs. And we are going to be placing a heavy emphasis on the treatment component in this campaign.
Let's talk about the other thing we're talking about, human trafficking. Again, it's one of those things when you find out, because when you say human trafficking, you tend to think overseas, but in reality, we've known for the last couple of years, there have been some examples, even within families, that do human trafficking. But again, we're talking about many times the migrant workers, some of the illegal aliens that may be in our state. How do you attack that?
Yes, absolutely. The human trafficking problem is a big one, and it's disgusting. There have already been numerous prosecutions by the current Attorney General's office for those who are trafficking in human beings, and we would be very aggressive in my office as Attorney General in prosecuting those people to the fullest extent of the law. They prey on immigrants, they prey on young people. These people are raped. And some of those cases, because it goes through multiple jurisdictions, do fall under the jurisdiction of the Attorney General, and we would have zero tolerance for that.
Now, another role of the Attorney General is to serve on the cabinet. And again, because the Republicans have been in control for an awful long time, there really hasn't been much of what I call a contrary voice on the cabinet. Not that they always agree, because with the Scott administration, there were some things they didn't agree with. So how can you be that balancing voice? And does it matter whether you're serving a Republican or a Democrat? You're a Democrat, so I know you'd rather serve a Democrat. But how does that affect your role if you win in this election?
So, what I have told people is the Attorney General's role is an independent role. My first and foremost responsibility is to protect the people of this state. And if a company or anyone else is violating the rights of our people, my job is to protect them. And if that means to bring a lawsuit, it means to bring a lawsuit. If the governor agrees or disagrees, that's his or her own issue. I have an independent responsibility to protect our people. And if the governor is doing something that, in my opinion, as Attorney General, is contrary to the law, I can assure you that I will not have a problem addressing that publicly, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican.
Well, this is a long haul coming up, because we're talking about 2018 in November, more than a year away. So it'll be interesting. Of course, we have the primaries and all the things that are going to happen at that time. But this is Ryan Torrens. He's a Democrat running as an AG candidate. That's Attorney General. Good luck to you, and thank you for stopping by.
Thank you so much for having me, Al. Nice to be here.